Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Geek Talk. Now, it's been a while since I've done this kind of format, all right? So please bear with me. Um, and I gotta come up with a better name than Geek Talk. But I actually wasn't going to do a video on this particular topic, honestly. I saw this story popping up so much over the last few weeks, and actually the last week or so. So I'm not going to exaggerate at all. But apparently Disney is losing confidence in Brie Larson and Captain Marvel. And a lot of that has to do with Spider-Man being ejected from the MCU. All right. Now, keep in mind that this entire article was written by We Got This Covered, who is known to be a typical SJW kind of media outlet. All right. So I found tons of them, but I'm trying to not be as biased here. All right. So I'm trying to be as objective as possible. Now, in my previous videos about Captain Marvel, yes, I don't like Brie Larson. All right. Not to say I didn't like Captain Marvel's movie. I thought the movie was great. It was well done. It had the old Marvel formula in it, which, is getting kind of played out. But I guess for that one last push for a movie, it made sense to do it. Now, I like the movie. I like how it tied into everything, figuring out where Captain Marvel has been for the last, I don't know, 10 years or so, however long it's been in between. I forgot. But I just don't like Brie Larson. And this is my personal opinion. I don't think that any type of celebrity should throw their politics out at anybody, let alone their activism, and try to portray that through movies. And I think that's the problem with Brie Larson, and I think that's the issue that people don't like her. Like people don't fucking like her. People don't like to be talked down upon, or you're trying to push your activism on women's power and all that stuff. We just want to see a movie. That's all we want to do. All right, we're not trying to see any type of representation here. Okay, but all right, to the story. Disney reportedly lost confidence in Brie Larson and Captain Marvel. Well, why? Let's find out. As Marvel Studios' first film with a female lead, I don't know why they have to put that in there. I mean, who cares if it's a female lead? You didn't see DC saying Wonder Woman is a movie with a female lead. No, fuck that. No one cares. Captain Marvel had a ton of pressure on it. It did not. When it landed in theaters earlier this year, and while it may not have been beloved and praised by other MCU movies and stuck a bit too closely to the studio's familiar formula, it still brought us a fairly enjoyable origin story for Carol Danvers. I agree, 100%. I agree. Not to mention that despite all those trolls trying to sabotage his reputation online, Captain Marvel went on to pull in over $1.1 billion at the box office. Okay, here's with this. Yes, it hit $1 billion. But you know why it hit $1 billion? It's because it was the last MCU movie installment before Avengers Endgame. It's like the appetizer before you hit the full course meal. You want to know what other movie hit $1 billion? It's loading. My computer's slow. Anyways, I know you guys are going to know. It's Black Panther. You know why Black Panther hit $1.3 billion? Was because that was the last movie before Infinity War. Now, I'm not saying Black Panther was it had some plot holes and problems with it, but if Black Panther and Captain Marvel were released after those two major movies, Infinity War and Endgame, I promise you those movies wouldn't have done as well as they did. That's a typical business strategy. I applaud Disney for that. Put out a movie before a major movie. Two of the most anticipated Marvel movies of all time comes out. Put out a movie and put out a movie before that you think is not going to do well. And that's what they did, okay? I'm not saying that Black Panther and Captain Marvel weren't going to do well. I'm just saying that they wouldn't have done as well if they had released those movies after Infinity War and after Endgame, all right? Now, back to the story at hand. And though the hero didn't really have much to do in Avengers Endgame, which is another thing, like, okay, you have this superpowered hero and you made a tease at the end of Infinity War, and then she was only in it for what? Barely 5 minutes of screen time? Like, that's kind of overplaying it for a superhero supposed to be the strongest MCU superhero there is, okay? So just keep that in mind, all right? Besides showing up in a few action sequences and sporting a new snazzy hairdo, blah, blah, blah. I'm pretty sure in one of those movies that Brie Larson is signed on to, they're going to explain why she cut her hair. I have a feeling that most of her movies, Captain Marvel, is going to take place between Captain Marvel and up until, I guess, she got called back for Endgame or something like that. That's my guess. Be that as it may, a new rumor is claiming that Disney has lost confidence in the actress and the hero she plays and has all to do with Spider-Man. According to Cosmic Book News, citing YouTube channel Overlord DVD, So yeah, take this one with a pretty grain of salt for now. Marvel plans to use Tom Holland's Spider-Man to help make Captain Marvel more likable. But with the web slinger now out of the MCU, they're worried that Carol Danvers will have a tough time finding favor with audiences. Well, here's the reason behind that too, is that if you go back and look at the history of Captain Marvel, all right, before she became Captain Marvel, she was Miss Marvel, and people loved it. And then she became Captain Marvel and became this kind of SJW, I don't know, feminist, whatever, icon. And honestly, her series failed numerous times. Comic books were canceled numerous times. So why Disney decided to go with a character whose book has been canceled so many times, I don't know. I don't know. I have no clue. But yeah, okay. Well, they're going to use Tom Holland's Spider-Man to make her more likable. Now, this is my personal opinion, and I know some of you don't want it, but I'm going to say it anyway. I think Disney should have went with Spider-Man becoming the face of the MCU because everyone likes Spider-Man. And I don't know if there's anybody that I know on the face of this planet who does not like Spider-Man. He's a wholesome dude. He's likable. He's funny. He's he's good at what he does. He's a great superhero. I mean, he has a good moral compass. That's why people like Spider-Man. When Spider-Man made it back in the MCU, when they did the whole reverse snap and everyone came back, everyone in the theater cheered for Spider-Man because Spider-Man was one of those characters that everyone loved. When he appeared in Civil War, everyone lost their minds. People love Spider-Man. So why Disney is trying to make Captain Marvel the face of the MCU versus Peter Parker, honestly, I think the MCU would do better as Peter Parker being the face of the MCU. All right. Moving on. Now, oh God, come on, move back up. Sorry about that, guys. Apparently, the plan was to pair Carol up with Spider Man in future films in order to help humanize and balance her out a bit. Now, I'm not a big Captain Marvel follower or anything like that in terms of comics, but I don't know how she is in the comics. I read Civil War 2, and she was kind of like a control freak. So, yeah, maybe that could work. Given that she's currently a little stiff and kind of unlikable, which is certainly true. Furthermore, it is said that Peter Parker was going to be used as a second banana for Captain Marvel, and the studio needed him to help give her a personality. Again, you should have just went with Peter Parker being a face of the MCU. Okay, he was Tony Stark's protege, and Spider-Man Far From Home, he was making his own spider suit, and Happy looked at him as though he was like the next Tony Stark. That should have been the passing of the torch right there. I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Again, Will stresses that should be taken away with a heavy dose of salt, and the YouTuber ever even mentioned several times that it remains firmly filled the rumor cabinet for now. But all that being said, this is too difficult to believe. I don't know if it's too difficult to believe because I saw this story popping up quite a few times over the last week. So I don't know what's going on here. I don't know if this is true or not. But to me, honestly, it doesn't really matter. I it doesn't really matter at this point. A lot of the stuff post Endgame that I've seen as far as the MCU goes, I'm not really interested in. Maybe X-Men or Fantastic Four once those come out, but I'm not really interested in that. All right. So this article was written about a week ago. All right. So if you didn't know, about 2 days ago, Marvel and Disney actually, well, Disney and Sony actually came to an agreement to bring Spider-Man back into the MCU, but he's only going to be in for one more film just to knock out the last trilogy, the last movie in the Spider-Man Homecoming trilogy. All right. So I don't know if they're going to use that last film to team up Peter Parker with Carol Danvers. I don't know. I mean, it seems to me that you're going to need more than one movie to humanize Carol Danvers as a character to make her more likable to audiences. That's just my opinion, all right? But Spider Man will remain in the Marvel MCU. The web slinger will be the only superhero with the ability to cross between Disney and Sony cinematic universes, according to Marvel Studios. Okay, so maybe it's not just one film, might be more. But when I read the article, it said just one more film. All right, let's just blow through this. I'm kind of taking a little bit longer on this video. Your friendly neighborhood Spider-Man will stay in the Marvel MCU after all. Sony Pictures Entertainment and Walt Disney Studios, two companies that last month announced that they could not agree on terms to continue working together on the live-action Spider-Man series, announced that a reversal on Friday to the relief of the film fans. We all went crazy. We love Spider-Man. Again, everyone loved Spider-Man. If Sony would have been like, oh, we don't want Captain Marvel, pluck her out, no one would care. But everyone loves Spider-Man. Whenever there's a Spider-Man movie out, everyone goes to see Spider-Man, even the Andrew Garfield ones, to much of our dismay. Marvel Studios and its president Kevin Feige will produce the third film in the Spider-Man Homecoming series. Sony and Disney jointly announced on Friday Spider-Man will also appear in another future Marvel Studios film. So I'm thinking they're going to do like the whole Robert Downey Jr. thing where he was only signed on for like a few movies but made like appearances in like Civil War and all that stuff. So that makes sense. The next Spider-Man film starring Tom Holland is scheduled to be released on June 16, 2021. We have a great collaboration over the last 4 years, and our mutual desire is to continue with equal, and our mutual desire to continue was equal to that of the many fans, Sony Pictures said in a tweet on Friday. We are delighted to be moving forward together. The announcement came 1 month after the two companies failed to reach a financial agreement, blah, 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 blah. Okay, there we go. Now, this is from 2 days ago, and it's from the New York Times, so it's a reputable source. Okay. Even though I'm not a fan of the New York Times, but whatever. The negotiation between Disney and Sony has been going on for a long time, said Robert Lawson, Sony Chief Communication Officer. The conversation started moving to a better place and ended up where it is today, a better deal for us and Disney, he said. The split ensured the superhero's departure from the MCU, alarming fans under Mr. Feige's guidance. The MCU became a global phenomenon encompassing 23 movies over 11 years with $22 billion in ticket sales. That's a lot of fucking money. Sony purchased movie rights to Spider-Man before Disney bought the Marvel Comics and its intellectual property, and the two studios have collaborated as Spider-Man, played by Mr. Holland, has gradually joined his colleagues Captain America, Iron Man, Thor, and Hulk in the ever-expanding MCU. After some of those characters ended their arcs in Avengers Endgame this year, fans pinned their hopes for future storylines on the hints found in Spider-Man Far From Home, which ended on a huge cliffhanger. And if Peter Parker was going to be ejected from the MCU, I would have been one upset YouTuber, that's for sure. The film positions Spider-Man as heir to the Avengers mantle. See, I mean, look at that. That says it all. The film positions Spider-Man as an heir to the Avengers mantle. So fitting, so beautifully crafted. That should be where the MCU should be headed. Spider-Man being the face of the MCU. Spider-Man is the only hero with the superpower to cross between Sony. Okay, I don't know. Superpower? Really? Okay. To cross between Sony and Marvel's MCU. Mr. Feige said in a statement, as Sony continues to develop their own Spideyverse, you never know what surprises the future might hold. I guess that's a reference to Venom kind of popping up, which would be great, which would be freaking awesome if Venom and this version of Spider-Man somehow collided. Great, awesome. The studios joined forces in 2015, and then Mr. Holland has appeared in Spider-Man, Spider-Man and Captain America Civil War, Spider-Man Homecoming, Infinity War, Endgame, and Spider-Man Far From Home. Two previous Sony series of the film featured Tobey Maguire, later Andrew Garfield as the character. As part of the deal, okay, we're getting to the juicy part. As part of the deal, Spider-Man will also appear in a future Marvel Studios film. Amy Pascal, who produced the upcoming film through Pascal Pictures, she produced the first two films featuring Tom Holland as Spider-Man. All right, and I'm not going to blast through this. If you guys want to read the entire article, it's in the description below, but I just wanted to kind of give you guys a little look-see at what was going on with the MCU and kind of cast my 2 cents into this, and kind of going to go back to this unscripted video format just for you guys, because why not? All right, so I'm Will at Heroic Studios. You guys, thank you guys for watching, and as always, please subscribe to the channel. Subscribe, notification bell. All right, guys. Well, that is it for me. I will see you guys later.